So when you hear the word Davos, what comes to mind? Probably, global elites, high-stakes deals, all that stuff. But what if I told you the World Economic Forum's origin story starts somewhere completely different? Not with ambition, but with fear. A deep-seated fear.
All right, let's get right into it. We're going to rewind the clock to the late 1960s. Now, this was a time of, well, really profound anxiety in post-war Europe. I mean, sure, they'd rebuilt their cities from the rubble, but this new feeling was creeping in, a feeling that they were losing a totally different kind of war, an economic one.
And this dread, it wasn't just some vague feeling in the air. Oh no, it was captured, it was amplified by one single incredibly influential book, a book that sent an absolute shockwave through the halls of power across the continent.
And that stark warning? It came from this bestseller, The American Challenge. And man, it just perfectly captured this terror, this feeling that Europe was basically becoming a colony of American corporate power. You had U.S. companies setting up shop and just dominating on European soil. Okay, so here's the really crucial point. This wasn't seen as a problem of money or even technology. The issue, they thought, was something they called the management gap. See, Europeans were just convinced that their American rivals had this secret weapon, a new, almost scientific way of running a business that they just couldn't match.
And this is where the main character of our story really steps onto the stage. A young German professor, Klaus Schwab. He'd just gotten back from studying at Harvard Business School, so he saw this gap firsthand. And he had a vision, a way to build a bridge across it. Why not bring that American know-how directly to Europe's top executives?
So flash forward to 1971. Schwab's vision, it becomes a reality. And the place he chose to host it, well, it was very specific. And, as you'll see, highly symbolic.
So what was it? Well, this first gathering was basically a 2-week, super intensive boot camp for European CEOs. And who was teaching? The rock stars of American academia. It was even sponsored by what would become the European Union. And let me tell you, it was an immediate hit. A success critically and, as you can see from that bottom line, financially too. Not bad at all.
But what's really fascinating here is why Davos? Why this specific place? It was anything but random. Schwab was actually inspired by a famous novel, The Magic Mountain. In the book, characters go to this remote sanatorium to heal and get some perspective. And that's exactly what he wanted for these leaders. He called it Sanatorium Clarity, a mental retreat way up high, above the fog of daily business, to just think about the future.
But here's the twist. Schwab's goal wasn't just to copy-paste American ideas. Not at all. He wanted to forge something different, something uniquely European. A real alternative to the dominant business philosophy of the time.
And this slide just brilliantly illustrates this huge ideological clash that was going on. See, just a year before, the absolute titan of free market economics, Milton Friedman, had declared that a company's only social responsibility is to its shareholders. That's it, full stop. Well, Schwab comes back with this pretty radical counterproposal. A great company, he argued, has to serve everyone it touches.
So who exactly are these stakeholders? Well, as you can see here, it's not just the investors with the money. It's everyone. The employees, the clients, the suppliers, and yeah, even the broader society and the government that kind of give the company its license to operate in the first place.
And this wasn't just some nice idea they talked about over coffee. No, this stakeholder philosophy became the official ethical foundation of the entire forum. It was written down, formalized in the very first Davos Manifesto, a code of conduct for all those powerful CEOs.
You know, the forum could have just stayed a high-level business school seminar forever, right? But then, a series of massive global crises came along and forced this quiet mountain retreat to change its mission, dramatically.
And just like that, the world changed. The whole global financial system buckled. The Yom Kippur War triggered a massive oil crisis that sent these huge shockwaves through literally every economy. And all of a sudden, the biggest threats to business weren't coming from inside the boardroom anymore. Nope. They were global, they were political, and you know what? Better management techniques just weren't going to fix it.
So Schwab realizes, and he realizes it fast, that in this new, unstable world, you just can't separate business and politics anymore. They are completely intertwined. So in 1974, for the very first time, political leaders were invited up the mountain. And that changed everything.
And to make sure this wasn't just going to be some cozy echo chamber, Schwab actively invited people who would challenge the status quo. You had a Brazilian archbishop come and condemn corporate inequality.
The legendary ocean explorer Jacques-Yves Cousteau showed up to deliver a stark warning about ecological disaster. The conversation, you can see, was getting bigger, it was getting tougher, and it was getting way more important.
Okay, so this pivot, this move from just business to geopolitics, it absolutely set the stage. The forum was transforming from a little European workshop into something else entirely, a unique and really powerful player in world affairs.
So by 1987, the name change was really just making it official. The European Management Forum, it just didn't make sense anymore. Why? Because its focus, its attendees, its whole influence was now truly global. So it became the World Economic Forum.
And this is where the forum really proved its unique power. I mean, check this out. This historic speech by the West German foreign minister delivered right there at Davos urged the West to start engaging with the Soviet reforms. Today, that speech is seen as a key moment, a turning point that helped thaw and ultimately end the Cold War. Incredible.
I mean, that was a huge moment, a truly pivotal moment. But believe it or not, the very next year, this spirit of Davos, this power of quiet, back-channel diplomacy, it would be demonstrated in an even more dramatic way.
Get this. Away from all the cameras, away from the media glare, the prime ministers of Greece and Turkey, two nations on the absolute brink of war, they used the informal setting of Davos to just talk. And they signed an agreement, the Davos Declaration, that pulled both countries back from the edge. This just cemented the forum's reputation as this vital, neutral ground for diplomacy.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? The crucial point is this. Davos was never designed to be a global stage. It was born from fear, from European anxiety. But it evolved into the world's first major platform built on one single, really powerful idea. That the biggest challenges we face, they can't be solved by governments alone, and they can't be solved by businesses alone. They have to be tackled together.
So, from its humble beginnings as a management class to its current role as a global stage, its incredible journey leaves us with a really critical question about its place in the world today. Is this whole model, this public-private partnership, is it a genuine path to progress for everyone? Or is it, at the end of the day, just a very exclusive club for the powerful?